Hey guys, I wanted to talk to you about Android 5.1 on my Nexus 6. Now I flashed the factory image late last night, so I'm still setting everything up and getting everything organized to how I like it again. But if we dive into the About Phone section, you can see I am running the stock 5.1 build. There's no custom kernel or custom ROM. Expose doesn't work on Android 5.1 yet, so I'm pretty much as stock as I'm ever going to be. And yeah, if we go to the security section as well, you can see that yes, I am running encrypted as well. So pretty much as Google intends it to be. So if we get into it here, let me start off by saying that the performance has improved on the Nexus 6. Now, it wasn't slow or laggy before, but in my opinion, it is a noticeable improvement. If you ever saw a slight lag or animation stutter before, they are all gone now. Everything feels noticeably slicker and faster, at least in my opinion. And you can just see here the opening apps. Now, of course, these are opening from memory, but it's just very quick and just more reactive to the touch, in my opinion. Now, there are probably a number of reasons for that, under the hood improvements, code cleanups, but one of the biggest changes is if we open up the system monitor here, you'll see that all 4 cores are online and they stay online. Now, Google's kernel is actually running the Nexus 6 in full quad-core mode. And when the cores idle, you can see they go to their lowest frequency, 300 MHz, and then when it's needed, it will jump up. Now, you're definitely going to notice an improvement, and before they used to use hot plugging where it turns the cores on and off. In terms of the battery life, well, there's quite a big debate as to whether hot plugging cores actually saves battery or not. Constantly turning them on and off can actually have a negative effect, so we'll have to wait and see after some time with this build what that actually does. But it's definitely an improvement in performance. Now moving on, we have some slight changes to the quick setting menu. You can see the little arrow under Wi-Fi and Bluetooth showing that they can basically be expanded, so it's much easier to see your different Wi-Fi networks and Bluetooth devices instead of being kicked over to the settings, which was just a little bit annoying and it didn't flow very well. So this is just a lot better. Now, one annoying thing about the 5.0 build was if you were to invert your colors or use the hotspot, you'd basically be stuck with that icon in your quick settings like it is right now the entire time. It's very annoying. You couldn't get rid of it. But on 5.1, you can actually press and hold this and it'll come up with a prompt telling you, do you want to hide it? Press hide and it's gone. And that's not going to come back until you actually turn on hotspot again. That only works with the dynamic tiles, things like invert colors and hotspot. It won't work with everything there. You can also see that kind of funky animation when you change the device orientation. They also made improvements to the screen pinning option. Of course, we had this on 5.0, but it was basically useless because you could just press a button combination and it would unpin. Basically, a 5-year-old could get out of it, so it was useless. They've changed that now, which is good. Basically, if you turn it on, you now get the option to set a password or a pin or a pattern so that when somebody tries to unpin, it will basically lock your device. And you can see the method right here. You have to set a pin. I get an option because I'm encrypted that I can have it start with a pin, but if we just set a pattern here, just do anything right now, and we'll just don't hide sensitive information. So if we then go ahead and go into an application, for example, I handed my phone over to someone and I only wanted to keep them in this application, I could press the multitasking key, I could press the pin icon right there, and that's it. They're stuck in this application. They can't access my photos or my sensitive messages. They can use the application like normal, but if they try and press back or home, nothing happens. If they press and hold the unpin option, it's going to take them to the lock screen, and of course they can't unlock the device without knowing my pin or pattern, so it's just a lot more useful now. So I'm afraid silent mode as we knew it in KitKat is not here. You can't just press the volume down to silence your notifications, but they did add a useful feature for the priority mode, and if we press the down volume key or the up volume key, we can access those. You can see none and priority. Basically, they've added the option until next alarm, and that for me is very useful because if you press none, basically you get no notifications, and that includes alarms, which is kind of annoying. Sometimes you forget you had it on and you just miss your alarm in the morning because it'll still be on none. But now with this option, you'll still hear your alarm even if you've got it on none, which is basically the new silent mode. So I'm really glad they included this option here. Now, something else I've noticed is there are actually carrier-specific applications built into the Nexus 6 factory image, and I can show you these right now. I've actually used Titanium Backup to freeze them, seeing as they're no use to me in the UK, but you can see right at the top there's a Verizon Backup app, and at the bottom there's a VZW APN app. We can also see an app called Sprint DM, which is something to do with the Sprint network, but that was actually there on version 5.0. Now, the Nexus 6 is a phone that works on nearly every network, and that stuff doesn't just happen by magic. There has to be some APN stuff on there, and Sprint DM, for example, I actually found out that it's for activating a device on the Sprint network, and without it, it may not work. So some stuff probably has to be there. Now, Google did actually mention when the Nexus 6 was announced that every single North American unit is the exact same hardware and shares the exact same firmware in order to allow people to use it on whichever carrier they wish. And when you really think about that statement, it's got to have some sort of carrier-specific software to allow it to connect to the networks. Now, I'm not talking about crazy carrier bloatware. I'm just talking about the stuff that actually makes it connect and makes it work. And maybe that's what we're seeing here. Now, I'm not quite sure what this backup app is. Maybe there's some low-level requirement for it if you're on Verizon. I don't particularly think it should be in my accounts. I actually think that's a bug. If you're not on the Verizon SIM card, it really shouldn't be in your account list. So I do think that's a bug. I don't think we'll see that on maybe a point release or something, but for now you will need root or an application like Titanium Backup to freeze it to actually get rid of it on the device. But yeah, that's pretty much what I found with Android 5.1. It's probably what Android 5.0 should have been when it was initially released, but we see basically every company doing that now. Everyone rushes it out and there's bugs that need to be fixed. So yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.